¿Cómo te llamas? I can't control what I hear, but I can control how I perceive it. ¿Cómo te amas? Means, how do you love yourself? And the other day I was just going about my day and I overheard that phrase and it resonated with me and it stuck with me. ¿Cómo te amas? What does that mean? What does that mean? So I went to Google and I Googled it, and it means, how do you love yourself? And depending upon your perspective, ¿Cómo te amas? Could either be an invite to analyze how it is that you love yourself, or an insult, calling you out for not loving yourself. Your perspective can declare what it is that you're perceiving about a situation, even if what you're perceiving is not accurate to the situation. Since I already know I can't control what I hear, and I already know I hear a lot. I hear a lot more than the average person. I take into consideration that I'm hearing things I'm not supposed to be hearing. And that gives me just enough leeway of grace to remove my own self, to remove my ego from the situation, and analyze the information for what it is. ¿Cómo te amas? How do you love yourself? We're having a weird morning because there's a lot of flies in my house, and there hasn't been a lot of flies for a while. But last night, I did something that I thought I enjoyed. And I caught a fly out of the air, and I put it in a spider web so I could feed the little spider that's been sitting in my bathroom. I like spiders. I don't like flies. I like looking at that little spider every single day, and I started feeling bad. I started saying, man, there's not enough flies in here for this guy to eat. He's been sitting here with an empty web for days on end. And as soon as I started thinking that, a fly flew into the bathroom. So I said, this is my opportunity. I caught the fly. I put it in the web. I made sure it stayed. And something interesting I learned about flies is if you catch a fly and you have it in your hand and it's buzzing around, what you have to do is go and you stun it. You stun the fuck out of it. My hand is like a cage, and it's completely hollow. I'm not like closing it tight, it's hollow. But what I do is I input energy, kinetic energy, and it's just enough kinetic energy that it stunned the fly. And then I took the little fly and I put him in the web, but then he started waking up and he started like kind of fucking up the web. So what I did was I took the spider's web that it had already kind of like produced and structured, and I took one edge of it and I wrapped up the fly inside of the spider's web for him. Or her. I don't know. I don't know how to gender spiders. All I know is that it looks like a common brown house spider. It's got a little white triangle on its belly, and the rest of its body's brown, so it looks like a common brown house spider. But now my house is filled with flies. And I'm left asking myself, ¿Cómo te amas? How do you love yourself? I'm not watching that spider constantly. My perspective, my bias of this spider's not catching enough food could have been completely inaccurate. I went into the bathroom this morning, the fly's gone. Last night, I saw the spider fucking with the fly. He was biting it, paralyzing it, wrapping it up and stuff. But today the fly is no longer in the spider's web, so the spider either moved it to a safer place to eat it later, or rejected it from the web and pushed it off somewhere. Do I have to feel bad about the whole spider fly debacle? And that's one of those questions that leads into, how do you love yourself? You got to open up the door for the opportunities to analyze, well, how is it that I do love myself? And how is it that that is propelling me forward in my everyday life? And what is it that I'm doing differently than everybody else? It seems to make this a question that I would want to even answer, or I am even capable of answering, because what I do for myself oftentimes doesn't feel much different from what other people do for themselves. But that's merely and simply because I have the confirmation bias of me being me. I know what it feels like to be me. That's fun. I used to do that all the time as a little kid. Tarzan yell. That's how you love yourself. You remember all the fun times that you've always had, and you let yourself be that fun person again. I haven't Tarzan yelled in years, but here I am talking about how it is can I love myself, how me love see. And I'm doing these things that, oh shit, suddenly I'm starting to remember all these times that I did love myself, that I did love being alive, that I did love fucking just existing as a human and using my own body as an instrument. Hey yo yo yo, they did that in fucking Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, well, they started it in Tarzan, bitch. You gotta do that. You gotta get yourself Tarzan yell every now and then. And that's one of those things that goes back in the Cómo te ama. How do you love yourself? You don't take yourself so seriously. Taking myself seriously has often led to bouts of depression. And bouts of depression have often ended by me saying, why am I taking myself so seriously right now? Whose judgment am I trying to fucking, perform for rather than my own judgment? And I kind of want to look at it too, because I have this thing we get that voice in the back of our heads, right? And right now the voice in the back of my head is saying, like, how the fuck can you love yourself while you're being such a big piece of shit? And that's where it goes into, well, this could have been an insult. And yes, when I overheard it, I could have flipped out and been like, well, sí, loco es... no es bien español. Es muy poquito. Muy pequeño. Muy picante. Muy hot. I know enough Spanish to joke around with the fact that I don't know Spanish. And that's probably goes back into what I was just saying, like, how you love yourself. Well, you don't take things as seriously. You be a little goofy about things. You let yourself laugh at yourself more often. As soon as you say, okay, I'm being a little bit stupid right now, you have that moment of self-recognition. You say, well, yeah, I'm being a little bit stupid, but that's simply because being stupid is fun. I'm talking about something that ain't necessarily always fun, which is a topic of self-love. And for some people, self-love is a very difficult kind of thing to integrate into their lives. Me being one of them. Fucking, it was difficult. I always did things for others for the longest time. I used to do things for myself when I was younger, but then I got fucking bullshit about it, and then I started doing everything for everybody else, and then I started feeling bullshit about it. So now I'm trying to feel like a balance between doing things for others and doing things for myself. And I think balance is probably a key and how you learn how to love yourself. Because if you didn't have balance, then the phrase, how do you even love yourself, would sound like, how do you even love yourself, you piece of shit, rather than an invitation to say, let me analyze this. How do I love myself? Can I make a list out of this? Can I make a fucking quantized docket out of it? Can I make a podcast out of it? Is this a good podcast topic? And having that creative outlet, having that creative spark, so all of these things that you overhear and mishear have a pressure release valve or a channel for release, so that they don't build up into giant explosions. You get to do these like daily check-ins with yourself that fucking say, okay, well, how did I love myself today? And sometimes that can be just one of the things that I do is, all right, today was a hard day, so a way that I can fucking treat myself, treat yourself. Remember when I had treat yourself? That's exactly what it is. One of the ways that I can treat myself is just by turning my brain off for the evening and allowing myself to go to bed and to rest. Easier said than done. But that's one of those ways that you can say, all right, having a tough day. There's no way that we can really fix this right now, because maybe your tough day is caused by you have a meeting at the end of the week and today was your prep day, and everybody in the prep meeting was on different pages, so it got really frustrating having to bring everybody up to speed. Instead of spending all night thinking about the meeting, you spend a little bit of time, you check in with yourself and you say, well, whatever you need to say to rationalize to yourself in order to allow yourself to have the space to let your mind go away. You have to say whatever you want to say in order to let it go. So you could say something like, well, I've did all that I can do. I've done all that I can do for today. Take a deep breath, and maybe that's your mantra. Maybe you repeat that back to yourself. I've done all that I could do for today. I've done all I could do for today. And I have to say that shit slowly because it's a tongue twister. I've done all I can do for today. And you keep your mind focused on that mantra, and eventually your brain will get bored because you're running the same thought over and over and over again, and it'll start shutting down background processes. Like you just opened up the fucking command, Control Alt Delete command center. What the fuck do they even call it? Task. It's like you open up the task manager of your brain by repeating a mantra, and then it starts shutting down all the background processes, and then you can fall asleep more easily. People do that. Mantra can be anything. If you look at it from One Piece, when they go to the Sky Islands, that's exactly what they got their power from, was mantra. But if you take that kind of fictional storyline and you look at it through a historical lens of our reality, then mantra and all of those different kinds of things are actually derivative of Buddhism and Hinduism when they repeat mantras while carrying around their prayer beads. They have these things called malas, which consist of 108 beads, and you say a mantra as you go through all 108 beads, and you use that as a form of meditation. And we got right over here, got all kinds of shit. We have the same exact concept, but for a different religion. And we got, this is a Catholic Christian rosary made out of turquoise. What you do on one of these is you have a specific prayer that you say for each piece of the thing. Like you say, Our Father, and then you say, I think you say 4 Our Fathers, and then a Hail Holy Queen, and then a Hail Mary. And then you do 10 decades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decades of Hail Marys with 1 Our Father in between. And you think you do a Glory Be on the fucking thing. There's like a fucking pattern to this one. Whereas this one, the pattern and the established notion of Buddhism and Hinduism and all that stuff is you pick whatever mantra you want to repeat. You don't have to do the specific special patterns that the rosary calls for. For Buddhism, all you have to do is pick a mantra. So say I pick this beat and the mantra is, how do you love yourself is the question for today. So I'm going to repeat to myself, I am loved. And then I go to the next one, I am honored. And I go to the next one, I am respected. And that's a very self-centered, egotistical take of how you could do a mantra. But I'm doing it for example right now. Mantras can be as simple as, I am loved, I am honored, I am respected. Or they can be as complex as, I give love and I am open to receiving love. And you can make your entire 108 all about different mantras of love. So you could say like, I give love, I receive love, I want love, I don't want love, I want compatibility. You can go through all the different things you can list 108 reasons for why love is your mantra, or what do they call it? Code of conduct is not the fancy word I'm looking for, but it is pretty much code of conduct. That word is the closer I get to the word, the further it's swimming away from me. Fuck. And now I can't even remember the topic. Oh my god, everything's draining out of my brain. Shit. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the ways I can love myself. Is I apparently am capable of meta thinking, which to be told that is like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's just always how I've thought. I've always thought about my thoughts, and I can feel the thoughts as they move through the fucking wet meat machine. And I can feel that, like, okay, that thought is actually traveling further away from where my consciousness is right now. To the point where I can actually, like, feel the concept going away. And I can feel my consciousness trying to hold on to it. Like, thinking about my thoughts isn't a process. I can literally just feel, okay, that thought's literally moving to a different part of my brain, so now I can no longer access what I was trying to even think about in the first place. And that's, I guess, thinking about your thinking. But here's a way that I can hack the thinking about my own thinking. And it also shows a way that you can love yourself. First step, limit sensory input. My eyes are sensitive, too bright. Let's limit the sensory input. Second step is supply the system with energy and resources. Big deep breaths and stretches. Now I'm just back to the word code of conduct. Your ethical modus operandi. Not exactly the word that I was looking for in terms of code of conduct, but it is more better than code of conduct. Your ethical modus operandi is basically your default mode of ethics, what you revert to. That's why I said with this one, if your default mode of ethics is love, then you would do 108 different forms of figuring out what love is. And you know, that might run you for a loop. You might get to option 75 or 69. And you might feel like you're starting to run out of mantra for love. You're starting to run out of phrases and feelings. And that is where the meditation comes in. That's where loving yourself comes in, because you do what I just did a second ago. You say, all right, I'm moving too fast. Let's slow it down, because I know that it's out there. I know the reasons are out there. I know the reasons to love are out there. I might be only at 69, but I know that there's another 49 more reasons to love. And you sit there, and you sit with yourself with it. And I think that's probably, out of anything that I can suggest, sitting with myself has been the biggest help in trying to unknot this tangled up mess up there. Because when you sit with yourself, you can notice that these thoughts arise. And if the thoughts make you feel a certain way, like, oh, this thought's making me feel really angry, you can ask yourself and you can analyze, where did this thought even originate from? Where did I get this from? And you can go back and you can think, you can say, well, this TV show reinforced it. This movie reinforced it. My brother did this and reinforced it. And once you find all of those reinforcement points, those are basically the screw points. Those are the screw mounts. You take your screwdriver, which is patience, self-love, and empathy, and you unscrew those little screws, you take them out, and you let those things fall down. You let them fall to the wayside, you take them out of the component, you throw them in the trash, because you don't need them weights screwed onto there anymore. And that's really, I've been carrying a lot of weight for my entire life. And my entire life, I never thought once of putting it down until like I was 26. I was like, I'm strong enough to bear this weight, for if I wasn't, then I would not have had these experiences in the first place. So I was like, I'm strong enough to bear this weight, fucking more weight. Motherfuckers, I acted like Giles Corey for a long time, where I was just like, more weight! Give me more bullshit! But now I'm realizing, at a certain point, I started asking for bullshit. I was no longer being force-fed bullshit. It was now me asking for bullshit. And part of loving yourself is learning how to stop asking for bullshit. You gotta figure out when it is that you're asking for bullshit, dude. Sometimes my mom fucking tries to start fights with me, and I just look at her and I'm like, dude, I know that you're trying to start a fight with me right now. I don't want this bullshit. Fucking take your bullshit, put it somewhere else. And her attitude, it wouldn't be nothing if her attitude didn't change from time to time. Sometimes she would be arguing with me about something that's very logical, and I would just stand my ground. I wouldn't raise my voice. I would stay as I was, and I would keep my point of view. And she would be throwing everything at the wall, trying to make something stick to change my point of view. And eventually, this has happened more than once. That's why I'm not giving a specific fucking codex of like, this happened and that happened and this happened. This has happened multiple times where we'll be arguing and I just firmly keep my stance to the point where she breaks down in laughter. And she says, why am I even arguing with you right now? And I ask that back. I'm like, yeah, why the fuck are you even arguing with me right now? Thank God you finally have a moment of awareness to fucking laugh and notice, oh my God, why the fuck am I even doing this right now? And it's usually after that break, after that moment where she goes, oh, why the fuck am I even arguing like this right now? That it's a cascade of realizations. And the logic that I was putting forth suddenly fucking makes sense because her ego isn't arguing against it anymore. And I guess that comes into a big way of how I love myself. I silence the fuck out of my ego a lot because it's just a whiny bitch. The ego wants you to fight with people. The ego wants you to argue with people. The ego feels you get mad and then tells you you gotta do something about being mad or else you're a fucking pansy. And what you need to realize is that you can do something about being mad without being explosive and destructive. And that's part of how I love myself, because I allowed myself to be everything I wanted to be. I wanted to be loud, I was loud. If I wanted to be destructive, I was destructive. I didn't hold myself back in any of these capacities so I could learn who I was when I did these things and how I felt about myself when I did them. I used to destroy shit all the time as a little kid just by taking things apart, because I just wanted to know, how do things work? How are these things going together? What are the insides doing that are contributing to the process of the outside component? I would take apart my toys, I would take apart computers, I would take apart anything I could get my hands on, because I wanted to understand the inner workings of the mechanism, which, holy shit, was apparently a core tenet of my identity since the beginning. That's how I love myself, is I've always been a person who has not shied away from introspection. The same way that I'll look at a ray gun. I had this little ray gun toy when I was little, but everybody hated it because it made so much noise. It would go, but I loved it. I loved this thing. I loved playing with it. I loved running around the house pretending I was hunting aliens, being like, and I didn't want to let these people's fucking easily agitated and easily annoyed personality traits control me and my fun. So I looked inwards. I looked into myself and I said, this is fun. This is something I don't want to give up because these other people are fucking bullying me because of it. And I said, how can I make this work? In the environment that I am, how can I make this work? And I took the ray gun apart and I desoldered the speaker and I just took it off. Because the speaker is the thing that's causing the issue. Let's just get rid of the speaker. I put it all back together and I had a light up toy that didn't make any noise now. So I could run around the house pretending that because I don't need the sound effect to pretend that I'm shooting a fake alien, okay? I can still pretend that I'm shooting a fake alien with all the lights that are flashing around. And I guess the willingness to make subtle changes. I didn't get fucking attached to the noise of the speaker. What I was attached to was the enjoyment of my imagination. And what I wanted to do was allow my imagination to flourish without the bullshit from other people, without the control and judgment. Sometimes judgment's alright, but this was times where fucking, one time I had a sleepover and me and my friends were like, when my dad moved out, when my parents got divorced, my brother took over the living room, which was connected to the porch, as his bedroom, and set up like a false wall, and then put the living room in the dining room. So I was having a sleepover, and he was in that fucking room that wasn't supposed to be a bedroom in the first place. He was in that room that was supposed to be the living room, where we were supposed to be hanging out anyways. And I remember he fucking couldn't sleep or whatever. He was just in a pissy, agitated mood because he was always fucking either hungover or fucking whatever. He was always pissed off and agitated and trying to fucking beat me up and shit, even though he's like a complete 12 years older than me. Anyways, I remember this one time we were all having fun and shit, and then he just comes out of his fucking room fucking yelling, "Everybody shut the fuck up, I'm trying to sleep right there." And I'm like, first off, we're having a fucking sleepover. You knew we were gonna have a sleepover for like an entire week leading up to this. This isn't some kind of surprise. You're just trying to control the situation with your emotions at this point in time. And I guess I've been subjected to that fucking behavior so much, where people try to control the situation with their emotions rather than logic, so much that I vehemently abhor it. I hate it. I don't like it, and I don't stand for it. If you try to control me using an emotional response, I'll stay calm and I'll let you do whatever you want to do. But the fact that I stay calm and you get your emotional manipulation out and it didn't affect me oftentimes makes people feel worse for even trying it in the first place. Because it's like, dude, I can see right through you right now. What the fuck is your issue? That you're yelling at a bunch of 12-year-olds for making noise at a sleepover, when in reality, you're the one that shouldn't even fucking be where you are right now, dude. What the fuck? You fucking made your parents get divorced so you could take over the fucking house so you didn't have to move out or fucking go to college. When in reality, I couldn't fucking wait to get into a dorm, bro. I was like, dude, that's the ultimate freedom to me. I was like, okay, education is going to offer me an opportunity to get the fuck away from this house. Bet. Let's do it. And I just tried as best as I could so I could get away from the fucking environment that had people fucking 12 years older than you emotionally flipping out at you because you wanted to have a fun little sleepover and you and your friends were being too loud. That was one of those times where I just said to myself, okay, this isn't one of those things that I can change about me. That's one of those things he has to change about him. There's nothing I can change about this situation because there's nothing wrong with the situation. He's the person that has something wrong with him. But going all the way back to the ray gun, there was something I could change about that situation because it wasn't just annoying one person. It was annoying everybody in the household. Everybody was getting annoyed at the ray gun. So it wasn't just like, oh, I'm pissing off one person. I was apparently pissing off everybody. Everybody was telling me, Adam, put the ray gun away for the night. It's too loud. And I was like still in, alien hunter mode. So that's when I decided, okay, we can change this system so that it's more congruent or agreeable with the overall macrocosm of where it's fitting in, or the overall ecosystem of where it is. But you gotta have discernment, because if I tried to remove something from myself for getting yelled at a sleepover by my brother, then I would have been removing parts of myself that I enjoyed. When in reality, it was him getting angry at the fact that he could never express joy in such a free and carefree way like he did when he was a child again. He's putting that onto himself. He's like, oh, I can't be like them anymore. When in reality, you can be you as much as you want to be. You're the only you, and that's what we go back to. Apparently, I'm a fucking metacognitive thinker, but to me, it's nothing special. It's just the way that I think. So to you, the way that you think it's just the way that you think. And if you're like my brother, and the way that you think is you're gonna fucking insult people and use emotional manipulation tactics and fucking bully people and throw your weight around and yell at them, I'm not going to change me. I'm simply going to remove the speaker from the system. I'm going to modify the ray gun so that it no longer makes that kind of noise. Because there's a certain point where you have to realize some people, you can't help them. You just got to let them be, and they'll do whatever they want to do. Because the more that you try to sit there and talk to them, the more that they'll sit there. I remember just Halloween of this last year, my brother called me, and I was like, all right, we haven't talked in a long time. And fucking just a barrage of insults right outside of the gate. And I was like, it sounded like exactly how my dad used to insult me. And I immediately went, oh, all right. So dad treated you the same way he treated me, huh? And that fucking barrage of insults stopped, and he kind of had a moment where he went, what do you mean? I thought you were the golden child. I didn't imagine you got treated this way. I was like, dude, we have the same fucking dad. Eventually he's gonna treat me in the same way that he treated you. It's fucking... If you're not around for him to treat you the way that he treats you, eventually he's gonna find somebody else to treat that way. And that's exactly what I'm saying. How do you love yourself? Well, you first off treat yourself with kindness so you can treat others around you with kindness. You treat yourself with forgiveness so that you can forgive others around you. And sometimes forgiveness looks like space. Sometimes forgiveness looks like, I can't fix you, I can't change you, so I'm going to stop trying and I'm going to let you be you. So, como te ama? How do you love yourself? I give myself grace. I say I'm a human, I make mistakes. And I allow myself the space to change and grow. I water myself. I give myself my nutrients. I lay myself out into the sun. And that's all that I need to do in order to grow into the person that I need to be. Growth just happens. When you were growing up, you didn't think about it. Oh, I'm growing today. You just grew. Growing pains, though. I had bitchin' growing pains when I was little. So I can't say that I did know when I was growing, and it was painful. But I knew it was for the better. And I always reminded myself when I was going through those terrible growing pains that I'm going to be taller at the end of this. It's for the best. And I have fucking Osgood Schlatters disease in my knees. So basically I have these little knobs on my knees because my legs grew too fast for my tendons to catch up. So when I say like growing pains, I was growing faster than my body had prepared itself to grow. And you can't super duper duper, like I was saying, you can't super duper duper control when you're gonna grow. But that context serves as a good kind of parameter or a warning or a forethought that if you try to grow too fast, you're gonna hurt yourself. You gotta give yourself time. You gotta give yourself space. Because if you try to grow too fast, you're gonna end up hurting something. You're gonna get some Osgood Schlatters going on. But if you take your time, give yourself space, all the proper nutrients, sunlight, water, and the proper environment for growth, then you'll end up growing. Now I'll leave it off with this though. A tree that never experiences the wind does not grow the roots in order to weather the storm. Don't be spiteful or regretful of everything that you've gone through that has taught you something. And everything you've gone through up until this point has taught you something. Those are the winds that are strengthening your roots. If something happens and you don't like it, now you know, I don't like it when reality does that. I don't like it when I do that to reality. And then how you move from that point forward is now moving on from a point of knowing, a point of intelligence, rather than a point of ignorance, a point of avoidance and ignorance, or I don't even know the word that's an antonym to avoidance. Heading that shit dead on, facing it, and giving yourself grace and space to process it and decide whether or not that's something that you want to continue to do or not continue to do. And that decision is what pushes your roots a little bit further. If you decide, I like how this made me feel, so I'm going to keep doing it, that's going to strengthen those roots. So the next time that something comes along that tries to make you feel not good, you say, yeah, but I'm doing this thing that I like to do, and you can't knock me off my path. Right now, I'm doing the thing that I like to do. I'm gonna call it quits for the day. So peace out. Keep it easy out there, guys.